talking to one of my clients last week about tight calves. I thought it might be quite good to do a video on tight calves and the importance of making sure that they're not tight. So what are the calves? The calves are a group of muscles. So there's two muscles in the back of the leg here, bottom of the leg. They run from the heel up towards the back of the knee. They're responsible for pointing the foot, and one of them is also responsible or helps to flex the knee. So we've got two, as I say. You've got the one that sits on the surface, the Gastrocnemius. That's the one that connects up into the knee, or crosses the knee. And the other one is the Soleus, which sits a wee bit deeper. Now, the problem with having chronically tight calves, well, there are a few problems, but the things that you want to watch out for thinking long term is that because the muscles connect into the Achilles tendon, which runs up the back of the ankle, it can lead to an inflamed Achilles, which is a painful condition. The other thing it can lead to is plantar fasciitis, which is a tissue that runs along the bottom of the foot. And if the calf is constantly pulling on all the tissues in the foot, it can lead to this really, really painful condition called plantar fasciitis. So we want to obviously avoid them by trying to keep the calves nice and supple, so them from becoming chronically tight. So there are a few stretches that we can do, and I'll run through some of those that you can try. And I would really encourage you to do these often if you do suffer from tight calves. Tight calves, as well as the things that I've mentioned, they can just make walking that wee bit more difficult. It can lead to problems further up the body, so it can cause problems not only in the ankle but also in the knees and the hips and lower back, and it can affect your ability to propel yourself forward. As I say, the calves are responsible for that pointing motion, pointing of the feet, and if they're chronically tight, the ability to sort of move your ankle through its full range of motion forward and back is going to be limited. So that propulsion is going to be it's going to be limited, and we want to try and fix that and ensure that we can get the most out of our body as we're walking along, and make sure it's not causing any muscle imbalances anywhere else. So let's go through a couple of stretches. So the first one is the one that you'll have seen with me many times in Nordic walking. At the end, we'll do that wee calf stretch where we push against the poles. So we can do it with the poles, but for now I'm going to do it against a chair. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take one foot forward and one foot back, and it's the leg in the back that's going to be the calf that's being stretched. So I want to make sure that my toes are pointed forwards, because if I'm here and I've got my toe pointed outwards, that can just cause a bit of irritation as that knee is twisted on the back. So toes pointed forwards. You're going to make sure that your chair isn't sort of going anywhere. This is not very sturdy, so you would want a sturdy surface to push against, so a wall would be ideal. So I'm trying to get the heel pushed down onto the ground, the heel to connect with the ground. Now you might need to bend your front leg a bit more, but don't be in a position where you're bending your front knee over your front toe. You want to have your knee above your ankle somewhat, but the focus is on pushing the heel to the ground. Now you might want to push against your chair or your wall or your poles, whatever you've got, and you're going to want to hold that for about 30 seconds. Just relax into it. Let yourself breathe into it, and if you have got very tight calves, this might be quite difficult, and you might find that you're not getting your heel all the way to the floor, but something to definitely aim for. Now, a stretch that we don't actually often do that much, but I think I might start bringing it in, is the stretch for the Soleus, because this one here is the Gastrocnemius. That's the one that kind of sits on the surface that I was talking about. So the Soleus is much the same, but I'm going to take a wee step in, and instead of keeping my back leg straight, I'm going to bend my knee, and again keeping the toes pointed forwards, and as long as you don't feel too much pressure on the knee here, because if you're too much onto the toes of the back foot, it can sort of push the pressure through the knee. So you've got to kind of make sure that you're sitting into the heel but getting enough of a bend in the knee that you're feeling it, and you might feel it, or you probably will feel it more towards the bottom of that leg. And again, you're just going to hold that for about 30 seconds, which is quite nice. So you would do that both sides, of course, even if you've got one side that's chronically tight and the other is not so much. Usually we've got both sides are quite tight. So I'm going to leave the chair for now, I'm going to show you another stretch. And this one's going to be a seated stretch. So you can use the floor or a bed or any sort of surface. What you want to do is you want to get something that's like maybe like a belt or a belt of your house coat or something like that, but something that's not too stretchy. Get the skipping rope, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it around the ball of my foot, and I'm going to sit up nice and tall, because you always want to look after your posture. And I'm just going to pull the ball of my foot towards me, towards my chest, or up towards the knee. And I'm going to get that nice stretch through the back of the bottom of the leg. You might also be feeling this in your hamstrings, but ideally the focus will be on the calves. And again, hold that 30 seconds and then slowly let it go. Do that on both sides. Another nice stretch. Now I'm going to use this. You could use the bottom stair in your house or a wee kitchen stool. But again, make sure that that stool is not going to go anywhere, that it's against a fixed surface, just for your safety. This may cut my head off. I'm not sure how this will come across in camera, but as long as you can see my feet. You're going to position yourself onto that step, and you're just going to let your heels drop off of the step, pushing your heels down towards the ground, and your toes are still on the step. Now you want to make sure that you've got good support, that you're holding on, you've got some balance here. If you're on your stair, you might be holding on to your banister, or in the kitchen, you might be holding on to a chair or whatever. But let those heels drop off. If that's too easy and you're not getting the sensation of the stretch to the calf, what you can do is you can just put more weight onto one side than the other, just by lifting that foot and coming up onto the ball of your resting leg a wee bit, and just drive that working heel a wee bit further down. I can feel that a bit more now. Hold it for your 30 seconds, and then more emphasis onto the other side, because that's now going to be your working leg. And another thing to consider is that the opposing muscle group of the calves run up the front of the shin, tibialis anterior. And what these muscles effectively do the opposite, where the calf points the toe, tibialis anterior pulls the toe up. Again, equally important for walking, to get that push off the toe that we look for. Now it could be that this muscle is weak. Now it might feel tight, but tight doesn't always mean strong. Tight can also be, a tight muscle can also be a weak muscle. So if this muscle's weak, it could be that when we're walking, the calves are they've got too much give, they've not got enough of an opposing force stopping them from contracting quite so hard. So what we can do in order to try and strengthen through the front of the shin is grab a mini resistance band, like this, pop it around both feet, and then what you're going to do, I'll stand and I'll show you this from the side. I'll show you that one first. So your anchor point is going to be your standing foot, and then you're just going to pull your toe up towards your knee. So do it, so have enough resistance in the band so that you can feel this up the front of the shin. So if I'm down here, yeah, I can feel it a little bit, but there's not a lot of resistance in that, so I need to pull it up a wee bit higher. That'll depend on your band. Just be careful, it might slip off your toe, so you don't want to pull it too tight. But just pulling up against that resistance, really feel that up the front. And those exercises, you just run through, maybe 15 of them or something, 15, 20 of them each time. And those can help to strengthen, as I say, the front of the shin, and just prevent the calf from overworking. So you might find that these are just quite tight, so it might be quite nice to get a foam roller. Just something a bit like this, and you can position yourself on the ground, and you can just, oh yeah, that's tight. Oh, obviously don't do that enough. And you can just roll around. It's awkward, it's not a comfortable thing to do, awkward to get into position, but oh yeah, I can feel that, that is badly needed. And you just might find that that is a bit tight, and again that's going to affect your ankle mobility, which can affect the calves. I've got a stretch for you, not a comfortable stretch, not for everyone, but you can give this one a try and see what you think. I'm going to get down on the floor, and what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get the tops of my feet onto the floor, and then I'm going to sit back. If you get very tight quads, this might not be for you, you might not be able to do this one, but if your quads are okay, I'm just going to try and sit back so that I don't know if you can see that there, the tops of my feet are flat on the ground. I'm very much into that pointed foot position, so calves are contracted but I'm stretching out the muscles in the front. So nice stretch for the front of the shins. And again, 30 seconds, and we hold on that. I hope you found that little tour of the calves quite useful. Do incorporate it into your week as many times as you can. We can't spend enough time looking after, stretching our muscles out, especially if you do a lot of walking. It's really important to take the time after your walk just to stretch those calves out. Any questions, give me a wee comment, thumbs up and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, hope to see you soon for some good calf stretches.